A quiet afternoon explodes into violence when three men in fake HOA police uniforms kick open the front gate and storm toward the house like they're raiding a criminal hideout. One smashes a security camera with his baton, another starts banging on the door hard enough to shake the frame, and the third shouts fake charges while recording everything. Inside, the homeowner steps forward slowly, watching strangers tear apart his property, calm, steady, and dangerously unafraid. They have no idea who he really is. Drop your city or country in the comments, and if you stand for accountability, like and subscribe for stories where power falls. The state attorney had moved to this quiet suburban neighborhood seeking peace, a place where he could unwind after long hours fighting crime and corruption in the courtroom. A respected figure, known for his discipline and calm demeanor, he never expected his own home to become a battlefield. From the start, the local HOA had a reputation for harassment, fake fines, intimidation, and targeting residents who refused to comply with their petty rules. Neighbors whispered warnings, "They're dangerous. Don't let them push you around." But he remained patient, documenting every encounter, refusing to stoop to panic or revenge. Small incidents escalated over time. First came suspicious letters threatening massive fines for minor violations that didn't exist. Then, strangers would appear in his yard late at night, pretending to inspect the property. Cameras were knocked over, mail tampered with, and false reports filed. The community watched silently, some too afraid to speak, while others simply shook their heads in frustration. Despite all this, the attorney maintained composure. He installed hidden microphones and cameras, recording evidence quietly while planning the right moment to confront the lawbreakers. Every detail mattered. Every interaction was logged. He knew one day they would push too far. And when that day arrived, he would be ready, not just to defend himself, but to expose the full scale of the HOA's lies. The HOA's harassment grew bolder. Late at night, strange cars circled the property. Flashlights pierced the windows. Muffled voices whispered threats that no one else heard. One neighbor nervously warned, "If they show up with fake uniforms, don't open the door." Despite the intimidation, the state attorney stayed calm, methodically preparing for the inevitable clash. Hidden cameras and microphones captured every detail, while a discreet alert system ensured backup could arrive if needed. He knew they were testing boundaries, pushing to see how far they could go before facing consequences. Small provocations escalated into deliberate trespasses. The HOA enforcers left unsigned citations taped to doors, monitored his movements, and called false complaints to local authorities. The tension simmered daily, creating a psychological siege designed to wear him down. Every day, he documented evidence, mapped the perpetrators' movements, and strengthened his defenses. He studied their patterns, predicted their escalation, and mentally rehearsed his response. He was ready to strike back, not with brute force, but with the full weight of the law. And then, on that fateful afternoon, the HOA crossed the line. The fake officers arrived at his gate, uniforms crisp, badges fake, intent on forcing him to comply. The moment had finally arrived. The fake HOA cops stormed the property like they owned it. The front gate rattled violently as they pushed past, shouting orders. "Step aside. We're taking control of this property." One of them shoved the door open, while another barged inside, smashing the security camera mounted near the entrance. The third filmed everything, narrating their version of law enforcement with exaggerated authority. The state attorney stood calmly in the living room, arms folded, eyes scanning the intruders. "You're trespassing. Leave now," he said evenly, his voice carrying the weight of true authority. They laughed, scoffing. "We don't answer to you. HOA rules apply to everyone," one growled, shoving him against the wall. Another tore open a drawer, rifling through papers, muttering about fines and violations. "Stop," the attorney's voice sharpened, but they ignored him. One of them slammed a picture frame to the floor. "Pay your dues, or we take action." The tension escalated. The men circled him like predators, expecting compliance. "You think you can stop us?" one shouted. "I don't think." "I know," the attorney replied, stepping forward, calm and measured. His presence radiated control. He pulled a folder from his jacket, his real badge slipped into view, and placed it on the coffee table. Instantly, the room froze. Eyes widened. The fake cop holding the camera stumbled back, his confidence faltering. Another tried to shout, but the words caught in his throat. Impersonating law enforcement is a federal crime, the attorney said slowly, pressing a phone button. Hidden cameras and live recordings activated, capturing every move they had made. Panic surged through the imposters. They backed toward the door, desperate, realizing their raid had been entirely exposed. Their false authority collapsed under the weight of truth. The state attorney's calm demeanor didn't falter as he stood in the center of his ransacked living room. His voice cut through the tension like steel. Enough. I'm the state attorney for this district. The words hit like a thunderclap. The men froze mid-step. One of the fake HOA cops dropped his flashlight, eyes wide in disbelief. Another stumbled backward, tripping over the rug. The third fumbled with his camera, hands shaking. The attorney pressed a button on his phone. Hidden microphones and cameras instantly activated, broadcasting live footage to local authorities. Sirens began to wail in the distance, growing louder by the second. The imposter's confident smirks vanished. You can't, one stammered, voice cracking. You already did, the attorney replied calmly. You've been recorded violating multiple laws, trespassing, impersonation, harassment. And your actions today? Everything is evidence. Panic surged. One fake cop lunged for the door, desperate to flee. Another tried to deny the events, pointing fingers at his accomplices, but the attorney simply shook his head. Save it for the authorities. From the street, real deputies arrived, lights flashing, weapons drawn. The HOA imposters realized the magnitude of their mistake. The room that moments ago had been filled with bluster and aggression now hummed with silence and fear. Neighbors peeked through windows, mouths agape, watching the unraveling of a scam they had long suspected but never imagined. The attorney remained calm, collected, a figure of authority radiating quiet power. By the time the deputies entered, the fake HOA cops were cornered, every attempt at control gone. Their badges were fake, their threats empty, their operation exposed for all to see. The twist was complete, the lawless had met the law, and the ones they thought powerless had turned the tables completely. The moment the deputies stormed in, the room erupted into controlled chaos. Flashing lights bounced off walls as the fake HOA cops froze, realizing they were utterly outmatched. Commands shouted, boots slammed against floors, and the authority they had pretended to wield crumbled instantly. Two massive K9 units, a Belgian Malinois and a German Shepherd, charged forward from the street. The dogs, expertly trained, lunged toward the imposters, forcing them to the ground. Panic replaced their arrogance. One tried to run, but the Malinois intercepted him mid-step, teeth bared, growling low. The other imposters were forced to submit, pressed flat by the German Shepherd. The state attorney remained calm, observing every move, his badge gleaming under the bright lights. He guided the deputies with precise authority, pointing out evidence collected through hidden cameras, the fake badges, unauthorized citations, and documents proving years of harassment. Neighbors poured into the street, some filming, some cheering quietly. Their fear and frustration melted into awe as they watched the imposters being restrained. One fake cop screamed, banging on the floor as the Belgian Malinois held him firmly, growling a warning. Another tried to reach for a weapon, only to be tackled by a deputy. The attorney walked toward the center of the scene, his presence commanding yet calm. No one is above the law, he said, voice steady, as the imposters were cuffed and read their rights. Every threat, every intimidation tactic, every lie they had spread was collapsing around them. Evidence bags were collected, cameras documented every detail, and the scene became a textbook example of law and order prevailing over deception. By the time the last imposter was placed in the patrol car, the neighborhood had witnessed a complete reversal of power. From chaos to control, the climax showed the full weight of justice, the lawless defeated, the community safe, and the state attorney standing tall, unshaken, the embodiment of authority and righteousness. With the fake HOA cops detained and the neighborhood safe, calm finally returned. Deputies collected all evidence, from fraudulent documents to the imposters' fake badges, ensuring the full scope of their crimes would be exposed. The HOA board, long complicit in harassment, faced immediate scrutiny, their influence shattered. Neighbors, once fearful, stepped forward to thank the state attorney. They had witnessed firsthand how courage, preparation, and the law could protect the innocent. The attorney simply smiled, placing his badge back in his jacket. "Justice isn't about revenge," he said quietly. "It's about ensuring no one can exploit power over others." For the community, the message was clear: no intimidation, no fake authority, and no lawless action would stand against the truth. The imposters faced criminal charges, the HOA was dismantled, and peace returned. Power had fallen, justice had spoken, and the man they tried to bully had proven that real authority cannot be faked.